are you a boy or a girl? And Nash answers, I'm just a kid.
But kids can be boys or...
They can be boys or girls. Yeah.
Or maybe non-binary.
Yeah.
It was just like non-binary, yeah. That's just something that we know. And this is something, I mean, it's like, they're 4 and 5 years old, and they just didn't make a big deal out of being a boy or a girl.
And I think it was a huge testament to how much we've been talking about it in the classroom, that you never mentioned the term non-binary. It was a child who brought that up because it's constantly in conversation.
Yeah, just like me. So Nash, just like me, is non-binary. So they aren't sure if they're a boy or a girl. So when people ask them, are you a boy or a girl? Right now they just feel like saying, I'm a kid. They're figuring it out.
Why does he like stars?
They like stars.
They like stars.
Yeah. And they...
Yeah, I'm sure the kid that was just corrected on gendering a doll definitely wasn't indoctrinated or coached in any kind of way. Yeah. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Zurk Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a plethora of absolutely crazy and wild news to go into today, as of course the world is getting strange, and it's definitely going to get a lot strange. There, of course, is a crazy incident that we're going to be discussing in full on this broadcast to the best of our abilities, since, of course, this is an important topic that can't go away, and we're going to be getting into that, plus a lot more, all here on this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, and the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast was originally shared by @clownworld_, and they truly do highlight a lot of the clown world lunacy in our society that absolutely deserves to be called out. And when you send your children to public school, you pretty much send them into an indoctrination camp that is making them professional slave victims. Perfect for the divide and conquer agenda by the ruling class, according to my own personal opinion. This, as the world is getting more stranger and more dangerous by the day, which some people say is a direct byproduct of our current indoctrination system that has absolutely failed the American public, with IQ scores going down dramatically. With that, of course, is also a correlation with more increased violence, which slowly has been also ticking upwards in many American urban cities all throughout the United States. This, as we're also finding out that last night, a staff member for U.S. Senator Rand Paul, who previously was a target of attack not just by his neighbor, but a lunatic also on a baseball field a few years ago, as last night his staff member was stabbed multiple times in broad daylight in Washington, D.C. from a suspect that was released from prison a day before the attack. Most likely released by a district attorney that, of course, has been bought off by a billionaire that is sowing and creating chaos. In related global chaos news, U.S. airstrikes have taken out 11 people in Syria after an unknown drone attack killed a U.S. contractor in the region. It's also important to note that the United States still has troops on the ground guarding and siphoning off energy and oil from Syria in what many geopolitical experts just call plain theft. Why are we doing this? What is, in our large view, strategic purview responsible for this? What's the reason? What's the justification? There isn't any. This, as Iranian-backed fighters are, quote, on alert in East Syria after the United States just bombed that country. All of this as there is a global shift happening right now, especially with all the BRICS countries that are in talks right now with Saudi Arabia and Iran, which, by the way, China just brokered a peace deal with to bring them in, a part of their larger alliance that would be more dependent on things like the yuan rather than the U.S. petrodollar. This, as America's greatest ally in the region, Israel is, quote, on the brink of civil war. This, according even to the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu there, that is trying to strip the Supreme Court there of their powers. So yeah, that's happening. I think important news to actually talk about, but there's one particular story that everyone is talking about, and we're going to talk about it here in just a little bit, but also in a limited form and view, since the conversation here is not an open and frank one that we could have. We are going to have a very open and frank discussion on LukeUnfiltered.com, where we will be getting into the theories, the possibilities, breaking down the heroic video footage frame by frame, as well as having more serious conversations in a fuller, more uncensored context later on today, right after this video. This video will be available for you on LukeUnfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Because this is a very important issue. This is a very important case that deserves to be talked about in full context. And let's just be honest and real with each other. We can't do that here on this particular platform. This is why I'm very happy I have my own platform. I get to say and do what I want. It's just 50 cents a day. Sign up right now. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. You'll get right in there, and you could be a part of the larger discussion that definitely needs to be had during these very key, critical, important junctures in our society. So I hope to see you there right after this broadcast, as of course the story right now is what just happened in Nashville, Tennessee, where there was a horrible, tragic event that left many innocent children to be no longer with us. Children from a particular school and a religious ideology that, let's just be frank and honest here, has been under attack, heavily criticized, ridiculed by the establishment, and even the federal government has been labeling and going after for their religious principles and ideas. Very similarly to what the federal government did after 9/11 to Muslims, as leaked memos show specifically the FBI viewing people who believe in Jesus Christ as, quote, possible domestic threats, as it's pretty clear that mainline American culture, when it comes to, of course, TV commercials, TV series, and even movies, has vilified individuals who believe in Jesus Christ, to the point where even mainline actors and personalities like Jane Fonda just a few days ago came out on The View and supported the idea of specifically taking out Christian pro-lifers. Now, other members of The View laughed about this, but it was pretty clear that Jane Fonda made it very clear where she was standing and that she was very serious about this point. This was literally just a few days ago, as even mainline professors at major prestigious universities are calling for not just the discrimination, but the extermination of conservative individuals who, of course, also believe in Jesus Christ. And a lot of the times this is tolerated. Now, in the face of the attack that happened yesterday, I think this is worth reviewing, especially since even mainline personalities after this attack came out and attacked and criticized people for their Christian beliefs and prayers. David Pakman, being one very prominent individual, came out with a very horrible take on this entire matter and situation, which he has since deleted. He has issued a statement that because of the attacks against him, seeing himself as a potential victim here, as a response to his original statement, this is why he decided to delete the original tweet, as you're seeing in front of us. He has since even deleted that statement, and I think it's fair to say that tragedy sometimes brings out the worst in people, while it brings out the best in others. As of course, body camera footage was just released of the police response to this incident, and unlike the Uvalde Police Department, I have to commend these two officers for being absolutely brave, heroic in the face of danger, risking it all. And when a lunatic, crazy person came into a school, hurt a bunch of children, had an elevated position on police officers, they were able to just in 14 minutes respond to everything and take down this very horrible human being. The body camera footage was released. We're not going to be showing you it here. We're going to be showing it on LukeUnfiltered.com. And truly, I think it's important to hold people accountable when they're in positions of power, but I also think it's important to commend and respect and to shout out individuals who actually did the right thing and saved many lives on that particular day, and that is these two specific officers, Rex Engelbert and Michael Colazzo, who absolutely deserve to be shouted out and truly given huge amounts of respect for their very bold, brave actions on that particular day. that truly is extremely rare and deserves recognition from everyone for their selfless actions. And truly, I think we should be talking about these men, the victims here, and of course, not the lunatic here that committed this particular event. These are some of the faces of the victims here that deserve to be mourned, deserve to be respected, and during these tragic times, we should be putting an emphasis on the heroes, when there's actually some heroes, on the victims, and not the lunatic that committed everything, mainly because of the psychological trait of the copycat effect, which incentivizes more individuals to do the same action when the individual's face and name is being promoted broadly to the general public. Now, the corporate media already, social media already has this lunatic's name, their face, their manifesto, their pictures of their rifles all over social media, and there are many psychological studies specifically showing that the more you talk about the individual, the more likelihood you have of another copycat event happening very soon, which is documented with these particular cases, as well as cases of people offing themselves. This is why we are not going to be showing you images of this lunatic. We're not going to be making them infamous. We're not going to be reading their manifesto, because I think it's just a poor media strategy in order to do this. Now, I think it is worth having a discussion about this, their ideology, what motivated them, what brought them to this, but we could still do that in a context that particularly doesn't make these people infamous, and I think doing that from a more strategic point of view is absolutely critically important for any kind of responsible reporting moving forward with these particular situations. As of course, I think it's fair to say that there has been an incentive by the corporate media to talk about the sensationalistic, to talk about the graphic details of a lot of this, and at the end of the day, we still have to remember here that there are human lives that were lost here, human lives that I think should be the focus of a lot of these stories, rather than the more sensationalistic aspects of this. Now, there's a lot of other things that I think we should be discussing, especially the unproven science of messing with people's hormones. I think there should be a big discussion on mental illness, maybe even statistics and some correlations here. But to have that open and honest, frank discussion, sadly, we cannot do it here on this broadcast, and we'll be continuing this conversation on LukeUnfiltered.com, and I will see you there right after this broadcast. But for frick's sakes, let's please stop falling for the Sam Hyde memes, and please stop spreading fake news, disinformation. We see the worst out of these strategies from a lot of people, especially on social media, jumping to conclusions, saying automatically, this is what happened because this fits my political narrative, is just repugnant, and I think we should be doing our best to try to stop that nonsense, have a rational conversation, and do our best to try to prevent these attacks in the future. And if you thought I did that, well, I appreciate you for being here and getting this video out there to the general public. If you thought I could do a better job, let me know how. Down in the description below here. We're doing our best. These are very difficult times, and I think our effort here matters more than ever. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, and this is why. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.